Not all trucks are created equal. Even though all of them are advertised as rugged workhorses, some are just, well, great. So today, we're gonna break down 6 trucks that will empty your wallet faster than a gas station burrito empties your stomach. Starting with the Chevy Colorado. Go across any used Chevy Colorado listing and you're gonna find, well, rust. And usually that rust is practically holding hands across the entire truck. But hey, rust is just cosmetic, right? Not so fast. Not only did these Colorados rust on the body, but they love to rot right through the frame as well. And let me tell you, the last thing you want is a truck frame that could snap like a breadstick. And it's not just the rust that'll ruin your day. These things have some of the worst engines Chevy has ever shipped. The standard 2.8 liter and the slightly beefier 3.5 liter were plagued with misfires. In fact, the most reliable things about these trucks were the check engine light until they burned out, because well, it was always on. But for real, most of these misfires were caused by worn valve seats, which meant a slow and painful power loss. Oh, but it only gets worse. The electrical system, a complete nightmare. The AC blower just decides to stop working whenever it feels like it. Power steering leaked more fluid than a toddler with a juice box. And if you think the engine issues weren't enough, these trucks also had timing chain problems, which if you ignored meant complete engine failure. And let's talk about the interior for a sec, because wow, Chevy must have raided the bargain bin for these parts. I mean, buttons, they fall off. Door handles break like dry pasta. Switches, forget about them. And don't even get me started on the suspension, you guys. Ball joints and control arms wore out faster than cheap sneakers. And if you're thinking about buying one of these, well, just don't, because it's not just the purchase price, it's the endless repairs that's gonna drain your wallet faster than a weekend in Vegas. Hard pass, and if you wanna find the best deals on any of the vehicles other than the ones on this list, I've linked to all of them via Auto Tempest in the pinned first comment. So go check them out, let me know what you find. Next. And real quick, there's nothing like a little Huracan Performante V10 in the morning. Okay, if you've ever imagined yourself turning heads in a jaw-dropping supercar, you are in the right place. Sign up. Sign up for the Ideal Collective. Right now, it is completely free, and I've linked to it in the pinned first comment down below. And just by signing up, you'll be the first to know about the giveaway. Spots are limited, so sign up today. Again, it's in the pinned first comment, and now, back to the show. Ford is synonymous with trucks, and there are great ones, don't get me wrong, but Ford had a decade-long disaster with the 5.4 liter Triton V8, and if you know, well, you know. If you don't, buckle up. First off, let's talk about the fuel pump driver module. This thing just loved to fail, which meant that your engine would randomly just shut off when it felt like. Imagine doing 70 on the freeway, and then suddenly, boom, your truck turns into a 6,000-pound paperweight. Not ideal. And that's just the beginning. This engine was notorious for literally launching spark plugs out of the cylinder head. Yeah, you heard that right. Spark plugs explode out of the engine. What? And I know some of you are asking, well, why did that happen? Because Ford, in their infinite wisdom, used an aluminum head that couldn't hold onto the spark plugs. And if that didn't fly out, well, they just snap in half when you tried to remove them. Good luck getting the other half out. And let's not forget about the timing chain rattle. If you ever heard one of these ticking like a time bomb, run. Because fixing it will cost you more than the truck is even worth. And even if you fix that, you still have to deal with the oil pan gasket leaks, alternator failures, transmission slippages, and cogged EGR valves. It's like Ford threw every problem that they could into one engine. And the best part? Well, these engines weren't just in F-150s. Nope, they were in Expeditions, Explorers, Lincoln LTs, Navigators, you name it. Basically, if you see a Ford with the 5.4 liter Triton, just walk away real fast. All right, up next, the Dodge Dakota, a truck that could have been great, but, well, instead it ended up being a complete money pit on wheels. Dodge had something cool here, a slightly smaller truck with decent towing capacity, but they just had to ruin it with bad engineering. Let's start with the engine. A lot of Dakotas came with the V6 that drank gas like a V8, but made less power than a toaster, and even worse, these engines had a bad habit of building up oil sludge. If you didn't change the oil exactly on time, sludge would form, clog up everything, and boom, say goodbye to your engine. But that's not even the worst part, believe it or not. The brakes, oh, they just locked up at random. Imagine driving down the highway and suddenly feeling like you just hit an invisible wall. Not exactly confidence inspiring, is it? And then there is the suspension. Ball joints and bushings wore out stupid fast. Frames rusted through like they were made of cardboard. Electrical issues, oh yeah, you bet. Random dashboard failures, flickering lights, and no start issues. It is just a complete mess. So, bottom line, if you value safety, your wallet, and your sanity, stay away from the Dakota. She a crazy one. All right, let's talk about a truck that never really knew what it wanted to be. The the Chevy Avalanche. This thing was like the result of a late night experiment where Chevy couldn't decide between a Suburban pickup, so they just kind of combined them, and while that might kind of sound cool in theory, in reality, it was a total disaster. First off, let's talk about the cladding. If you've ever seen an early Avalanche, you know exactly what I am talking about. Chevy thought it was a great idea to slap a bunch of plastic all over the truck. And guess what? That plastic faded and warped faster than a cheap lawn chair left in the sun. If you owned one of these, you either had to live with the ugliest truck on the road or spend hours restoring it back to black with back to black product. And I've tried, and guess what? That stuff just never really works. Kind of like most of my relationships. But if bad looks weren't enough, the Avalanche had real problems. One of the biggest, early models had transmissions that straight up gave up on life. One minute you're cruising down the road, the next you're wondering why the truck won't shift out of second gear. And let's not forget the infamous speedometer issues. Imagine getting pulled over because you were doing 80 in a 55, except whoops, your speedometer said that you were going 50. Yeah, that happened to Jay-Z, right? 55 and a 54. Anyway, this truck had a reputation for having instrument clusters that just stopped working entirely. Oh, and the engine? Yeah, Chevy slapped in their famous 5.3 liter Vortec V8, which, when working properly, was actually pretty decent. But here's the thing, it burned oil like crazy. If you didn't check your oil every single week, you might end up with an engine that's completely toast before even hitting 100,000 miles. At the end of the day, the Avalanche was weird, and it was an unnecessary truck that created more problems than it solved. Chevy tried to invent a new category of vehicle with the whole sport utility truck thing, and some people love it, but getting into one now might just be a lost cause for you and your wallet. Oh man, where do I even start with this one? The Chevy SSR was one of the strangest vehicles Chevy has ever made. Someone at GM must have said, what if we took a Corvette, made it heavier, gave it a useless truck bed, and made it look like a toy? Well, somehow they actually built it. Now, on paper, the SSR had some potential. It had a Corvette-derived V8 with 400 horses, a hardtop convertible roof, and the later ones actually got a manual transmission. Oh, and it looked like a modern hot rod. But remember the Prowler? Yeah, that thing failed, and the SSR, it failed too. Because that's where the good news ends. First off, it wasn't really a truck. The bed was so tiny that you couldn't even sleep in it. Forget about hauling anything bigger than a duffel bag. You weren't putting a dirt bike, lumber, or anything remotely practical in there. And if that wasn't bad enough, the cabin was ridiculously cramped. Two people barely fit. If you're over 6 feet tall, good luck getting comfortable. Oh, and let's talk about the roof. That power folding hardtop, yeah, it was notoriously unreliable. If it broke, you were looking at a multi-$1,000 repair. And here is the kicker, it was slow. You'd think a 400 horsepower V8 would make it quick, but nah. The SSR was so heavy that it felt sluggish, and 4-speed automatic didn't do it any favors. At the end of the day, the SSR was a confused vehicle. It was too impractical to be a truck, too heavy to be a proper sports car, and too weird looking to have mass appeal. One day they're probably gonna sell one at Barrett-Jackson for like 500 grand or something, but for now, it's time to stay away. Okay, now this is one of those trucks that it looks harmless, but actually it is a financial disaster waiting to happen. This is the 2005 to 2015 Nissan Frontier. And at first glance, it seems fine. I mean, it's a mid-sized truck, it's got a solid engine lineup, and it's known for being durable. But under the surface, that's where it's a disaster waiting to happen. First and foremost, the transmission issue, and not just any transmission issue. We're talking about a defect so bad, it could total your truck. Nissan, in their infinite wisdom, designed a radiator that could leak coolant directly into the transmission. Yeah, you heard that right. Coolant and transmission fluid mixing together inside your gearbox. If this happened to your truck, you were looking at a completely destroyed transmission with a repair bill upwards of $4,000 to $6,000. And that wasn't the only problem. The frame rusted like crazy, especially in snowy climates where road salt was a thing. The brakes wore out ridiculously fast, and the drive shaft had vibration issues that made highway driving feel like you were rolling over a washboard. Oh, and Nissan barely ever updated the design. I mean, the 2005 model looked old the day it was released. By 2015, it looked like something out of the early 90s. Compare it to a 2005 Silverado, and it's night and day. The Frontier just never evolved. And let's talk about alignment issues. The suspension components wore out so fast that keeping the truck aligned properly was next to impossible. At the end of the day, the Nissan Frontier seemed reliable, but that hidden transmission flaw alone made it one of the worst used trucks that you could ever buy. If you're thinking about picking one up, unless it's picture perfect, I'd advise against it. And again, you can find any other truck for a great price using the link via Auto Tempest in the pinned first comment. And that is the list. What do you think? Are some of the trucks worth it on this list? Are they not worth it? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the vid, like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and check out these Ideal vids over here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. We'll catch you next week, and promise me one thing, keep living the Ideal lifestyle.